we missing anybody else?
Just Dave.
I don't think we're trying to.
I got mine. Thank you.
I think I have 35 doing another person.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start.
All right.
Mayor, you kick it
We're
off.
ready to get started.
Yep.
2.1, review the proposed 2026-27 annual budget for the city of Riverview. The purpose of this budget review session is to consider the following items, and Jeff has a list. But I will start out with that every year, I think for the last 10 years, what we do is, in order to get through this in an efficient manner, we will try to keep the focus on the list we have in front of us. And if there's anything that requires an extended conversation, we will put that to the end of tomorrow. So if there's something we can't get some answers right away, or you don't have it in front of you, then that gets shoved to tomorrow. We've only had a few items in the past like that, but it helps with, because we used to do this over 3 days. And we moved it down to 2, so we need to get through what you need to present and you need to present. So if there's questions, I mean, obviously everybody's gonna have questions and they're answered, but if it's something where it looks like that one item is gonna be more than 5, 10, 15 minutes, then we'll just put that to the end. You guys can do your homework and get the answers that we need. All right, with that, Jeff?
Okay, Your Honor, thank you, council. This is a long, drawn-out process. I understand that. I thank all my directors, and I thank my budget team, of course. It was all directors, plus the finance department. Ann takes a big role in this. So Ann will lay out the lines, the major lines that have major changes in it, and I will go along and help as well, because there's some things in there that I had classified a certain way because I wanted them classified in that orientation in the budget book, so that it could be identifiable and it would just be right out front. So I know as well there was supplemental information asked for, and we try to get that all out the best we could in the timely manner. So we do have that as an attachment. We also have the dollar bill out that we did, and we updated it to show you where our revenue goes.
I love that.
And then we also had some supplemental schedules with Summerfest and some events and some things like that. I know Council Member Clark asked me about the Go Big Media, so we put that together and got that out to everybody as well, so they could see that. So try to answer the questions best we can, and we'll just go through the budget. Of course, the department heads are here for their departments, so we'll bring them up when we get to their area. And we'll just go through it line by line. This year, page numbers were put on the report, so we can go to the page number
Thank you.
that she's referring to.
And next year you'll have the page numbers on here.
We will.
Oh,
We will.
yes, I
We will.
did.
I have mine, but, you know. So, Ann, why don't you?
But just before we get started, I'm sorry to interrupt. I do want to thank everybody, because, I mean, there's just reading, obviously, numbers they're killing me. But I really appreciate the thought that went into the whole presentation, all the background information of where we stand on the general fund, the golf, all the verbiage in here, because over the years that tends to be a pretty canned language, and this year it's much different than it has been.
Okay, and I agree with that, and the reason why is we had to quantify and kind of describe where some of the shortfalls are coming in the near future. And, you know, you'll see in this budget, yeah, it's a balanced budget with our current taxes. However, nothing's there for CIP funding, you know, and that's scary. We will get it done, we'll get some CIP work done.
And
but
CIP work is,
Capital improvement.
Capital improvement.
just so everyone
Yep,
knows.
okay, I'm
I
sorry.
asked earlier.
So that's true, and there's gonna be some decisions that council will have to make. Again, Ann's job and my job is to bring options forward, you know. We tee it up, council swings, so how we're gonna fund different things will have to be a decision by council. We'll bring recommendations forward of where we see it and how we see it, but at the end of the day, it's okay if it's no, we don't like A, no, we don't like B, no, we don't like C, but all of those things have effects on city services, city departments, and city operations. So I just want to make sure that everyone's clear on that. Things can change, but you change something that's not in the book the way it is today, it will have changes on department and services, so. Okay?
Thank you.
Ann, we want to start?
Yeah, sure. Good evening. We're here, so we're going to talk about some budget issues. Generally, we're going to talk about the big picture items right now, and then we're going to narrow down into different things. So we're going to talk about budget issues that start on page 14. We know the government is made up of property taxes. Obviously, it's our biggest portion of our revenues that we collect other than user fees. We'll talk about the different sections, but as far as property taxes, just kind of come to where we've come from. If we look at that first chart, the property taxes, and we'll show you where our areas of concern are. So if we look at the taxable values on the first chart, if you go down to 2025, our taxable value was about $415. So basically what that means is for every mill we assess, we get about $415,000. What happened in 2026, you see there's a big jump. And we're going to be talking about this a lot. The big jump is about a $32 million from the energy system. So that is reflected in our taxable value, which reflects on how much we collect. They are right now in the tax tribunal for that $32 million, so we don't want to pretend that money's there. They're going to that, they're trying to get that down to zero. Will they get it to zero? I don't know, but so you'll see in this budget that we're kind of taking that and we're actually putting into a contingent because we don't know if it's going to be there. And we don't want to rely on city services for that money that may be taken away. So you're going to start seeing that, but I'm bringing up the concerns. In the current year, state of Michigan will give us a inflation value. The inflation value they gave us this year was a 2.7% increase. So that's basically cost of inflation. So that is what the state of Michigan will allow us to increase our taxable value to. The next portion that the government lives on is just the general government lives on is state share revenue. State share revenue is the only monies that we get from the state of Michigan to operate the city. So we get taxes and then we get state share revenue. That's based on the Constitution and it's based on sales tax. So if you look over the past couple of years, it pretty much has stayed the same. Actually, we got a decrease in the current year of about $76,000. Hopefully the state changes the budget. Hopefully they realize that they can't be cutting services because this takes us to police and fire. I mean, this is our main services, but that is the number we got for the current.
So that number
year.
is it the combination of this
It's
statutory and constitutional?
Yes, yes. And it's based on a population. It's a calculation. So page 15, again, we're government. We are people. Staffing is huge for us. So just kind of bringing that there have been some reduction in staffing. We have over, if you look on page 189, our staffing has remained pretty stable. So with attrition, we're hiring new people, but it's pretty much staying consistent.
And I will tell you, going forward, with our full-time employees, as attrition works, we are reviewing every position to make sure that it warrants a replacement full-time. Because as technology changes and the way that things are accomplished and being sharing of some of the services, we don't know if the FTE count is going to stay at the same, but we're looking at it. So every time that there's attrition, especially, we'll be looking at, does that require a full-time equivalent, or could that potentially be done with a part-time? So we are looking at that.
As far as people, health insurance has been increasing. It's just the nature of the beast.
Page 15 again.
Yep, page 15 in that chart.
And take a look at that too, just to get an idea. $1.3 million is active employees' health care. 1.3 is retiree health care.
Yep.
So that's 2.7 million in health care.
Wow.
And you don't get away from that. That's guaranteed payments. I mean,
Any questions there? We're going to go to page 16. is our retirement system. Right now, currently, we are budgeting, in the last several years, we have budgeted about, it was up to $1 million. We don't have, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of extra money, but we do, I have been budgeting $800,000. Our required contribution is $706. So I am funding to try to hit that 100% funding level. We're at 91.24%. So we are nicely funded for our retirement system. Next, I want to go to water and sewer. Obviously, the water and sewer fund is basically runs through user charges. We always talk about what the Great Lakes Water Authority will pass on to us as most communities, and we usually reflect that in the rates that we charge to users. Last couple of years, they've had some big jumps. We did pass those on to us. This year, because of large in the past, this year the Great Lakes Water Authority was going to pass on. I'll find it. We'll talk about it again, but I just wanted to find it real quick. Of course, I don't have it.
While you're looking at this, I'll remind councils, I think it was in the letter we received from the Great Lakes Water
Yes.
Authority, is the reason the increases are so high, for years, there was an agreement, they would not be more than like 4%. And so over the years, they're falling behind, so that agreement ended, and now they're doing their best to catch up.
Correct. Great Lakes Water Authority has passed on a 6.55% water rate increase and a 5.93% sewer increase. Doing the calculations, I felt we could pass on for the current year a 4% to the residents. So it's just a straight 4%. So hopefully give them a little relief over the past several years. Also, we want to look at city infrastructure. We have had, there was a millage, and we'll talk about that. There was a millage that they had put out about 10 years ago that was $8 million for water and sewer repairs. Actually, that bond has now been paid off, and currently the city has no debt in their name. It does in the water and sewer, and it does in the landfill, but it does not as a general government. We do not have any debt right now. Not saying that we shouldn't, because we probably should relook at that road, a road type millage coming up here in the future.
So I will mention right off the top, there would be potentially 2 millages that would have to be looked at. One would be public safety over the 2 mills that's already on the books. And the second would be a road bond for road and street sectioning. And I believe at that time it was, how many mills was that one?
That was through 2.7.
2.7 mills. So
For 10
potentially,
years.
we'd have to put both of those out. Of course, it requires, anything over 2% of public safety requires people to vote on it. And of course, the road. Those two would potentially, I'm looking at a schedule right now, if council approves that going forward, it's not in this budget right now, but it would have to be in next year, that would be put on the ballot in November. And there's a lot of workup and communication and education that would have to happen between April and November, of course. But that would be potentially 2 of the funding sources to get back ahead.
Yep.
Yes?
Did you say 2 mills or the 2 mills that were?
Yeah, or more, depending on, right now, just to let you know, we're currently in contract negotiations, and you usually do enough mills to handle 2 contracts, not 1, but 2. So we'd be looking at a millage for 2 contracts for both public safety. Okay.
Go to page 18. So here we're going to look at the proposed tax levies from last year to this year. So again, I wanted to say we're at 22 mills and 25.6, and then estimated for this year prior to any new proposals, obviously. We would take off that, the road millage, what started at 2.7 is gone down to 1.4 because it's based on what the levy would be to pay off the bond. So that will no longer be there. So when you look at it, you have room, people's taxes wouldn't raise, there's still that millage that's available. Go to page, so we're going to talk about, obviously, how the structure of the tax base is. So go to page 154. And this was the actual tax base for the 25, was what we just went through. So that tax base was 22 mills. And how it collects. So basically, the city has the ability to issue 20 mills. Over the past, because of Headley Amendment, it's been down to 13.8948. Of the 20 mills, there was a resolution that 0.8 mills is going to the library. 0.7 mills is for general operating of roads. So our total millage now, that started out at 20, is now at 15.3948. So in the event that Headley didn't exist, we'd be collecting almost another 5 mills. And you're gonna see through our presentation, it's probably where we should be.
Right, so, and I've said this in the past before, so we get penalized, the way I look at it, for being efficient.
Correct, yeah, and that's where it's going. So and that was,
And Mayor, we've heard that at other places from the county before,
yep,
Mhm.
that our taxes are low,
Yes.
yep.
so we have room to raise them.
Did
Remember,
they say where we need to be at, or they want us to be at?
they want us to be at where our neighbors are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they look at that schedule of the neighbors and say, well, and let's talk about
We are
that.
with some of our neighbors.
Well, not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, we're the low.
Yeah.
We're the low of the low of the cities and right in there
With
with
the townships.
townships.
And here's the case, right? Because we pitched 3.5 million is over 7 mills. The landfill gave us 3.5 million a year to help our city services operate, right? That's gone. That's 7 mills. So where do you get the $3.5 million from? You can't get it from the state, they're not giving us any more. You know, we don't make gadgets or widgets, so we
Yeah.
can't make more widgets and sell them. So the old saying, once the landfill closes, someone's gonna have to fund the services. And the services aren't going down. And the paid service, pay and employee benefits aren't going down, so it's gotta come from somewhere.
You're
But
right.
think about that, 3.5 million coming from the landfill. The landfill gave $63 million to the general fund since 2003 until we stopped last year. $63 million. Well, we don't have a landfill anymore. It's closing. So we gotta figure out where we're gonna get, not the 7 mills, but where we're gonna get more mills so that we can continue to give our great city services to our residents.
Yep.
Okay,
So, again, we're gonna make it very clear, the Riverview Energy Systems, that contingency is 459. And you will see that I'm using that to balance general fund. And we're gonna keep iterating it. If that's gone, now we're 459 in the hole. So, it's a blessing, but it's not gonna be there, is from what we can figure out.
and the reason I'm comfortable leaving it in the contingents now, because it could take a year or more through
Yeah,
tax tribunal.
Right.
We don't have to pay it back, but we pay it back at a later date.
right. It just goes in fund balance. I don't wanna.
Yeah.
So any questions on the general, that was just bringing out the general, big concept. So now we're gonna go into the capital projects fund. So you're gonna see what, if we go to page
160.
160. So this is broken down by department. There's the general fund, and then you'll have the enterprise funds, which take care of their own capital assets, but the general fund is what we need to take care of. And you're gonna see a lot of the things we had scheduled for 25, 26 are now being put off to 27, 28. We just don't but with the DT, we just don't know where we're going. We're being ultra conservative. We're not spending anything on capital projects because we just don't know where we're going from here. So, we're gonna look down page on 160, some of the things that we had, that we know we need in this building, we are putting off. We had them scheduled for 25, 26, we said, nope, we're putting them off. So, just floor carpeting, we know how the outs there is. We had, the parking lot needs to be replaced. We did seal coat it, but it probably needs to be replaced. We put that off. And flooring in the police department. So if we go, and then, so we're all putting those off because we know we don't have the money right now to do those.
And the roof too, right?
And the roof needs to be done in a couple of years too. So, yeah, we have that in 28, 29, $1.1 million. So, these are things we need to think about, right? You can't just keep throwing it down the road because someone's
Kicking the
gonna
can.
get it. Kicking the can on the road. So the only real capital progress we have on this page is under the DPW, which the DPW will pay for, is they are doing their parking lot and they are getting their sandblasted. If you go by that building, it needs it. So
Yes.
those two things are definitely getting done right now in the current year. The next is, now we're going through the DPW, and we'll talk about this in great detail between the page 162. You're gonna see a lot of big numbers there. Those are the list of capital projects that we have, that we brought to you. We are in the process of, some of the stuff has been done, it's all gonna be bonded. You will see those next, council requirements that will come through to get those bonds. No one is already okayed, no one denied it or stopped it the last referendum we had to issue these bonds, so we're good there. We're just gonna go through the process and now get the money to actually get some of these projects done. And so you were just waiting for the due eternal to get started, to get the money. So there will be about $18 million and they'll come forward. But all those are kind of listed and they will all be shown up in the water and sewer fund. Then they will be paid for with water rates incorporated.
The bond payment.
Yes.
And looking at an $18 million bond, so just to get an idea of what that annual payment is with interest is
It was
right.
1.4 million.
1.4 million.
Yeah.
And we've already spent 3-4 million on
Yes.
projects already that will be bonded, and we can pay ourselves back for the projects that we've already done. So,
We go to page 164. So 164 is our major and local roads. Right now, we currently get, as we go, we usually have about $1 million in each one of them that we get from Act 51 monies from the state of Michigan. It's surely not enough to redo roads, it's enough to street section and do the joint crack sealing, but it's nothing to replace them in. And so I will tell you, there's many roads that need major construction and not just little Band-Aids. So that's all we have. So that, again, is talking about the millage. Where's that next step of really repairing some roads? So it's just enough, like, seriously, it's just enough to maintain, not enough to restructure.
and before we go, let's just take 5 quick minutes before the food gets cold that I got for them. Let them grab something.
Oh,
Come
sure.
back out, all right?
Sure.
Let's just take 5. Just 5.
Awesome.
All right? Because we're gonna start getting into the department stuff, and
Yeah.
once we get there, we're gonna, go ahead.
I won't eat by myself.
Don't you? We can eat here too, you can bring it back. You're just
Yeah.
Very, very nice of you guys.
There's enough. You guys keep, I gotta do, there's more water, yeah. I just didn't want it to get cold. I mean, if we had kept going, it would have been an hour.
Pizza and chicken doesn't matter, cold, hot, warm.
Okay.
As long as we don't get salmonella.
My
good to
bad.
go.
Just fine.
I really wanted to do it before we got going, but I know Ann wanted to get through
Yeah.
the first section, so.
I need a napkin.
That might be a good napkin, yeah.
Really? There's napkins back there, isn't there? No.
It's empty. The copies are all locked.
This works. Run to the restroom.
I'll go and get some.
Fine, run to the restroom, guys.
I'll go
You
get
gotta
some.
make do with what you got.
Hey, when they're done, you guys go back there and grab some.
Well, you got 170 pages.
To go. Hey, I'm at 165.
I feel like you're just cruising right along, Ann. Thank you.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Napkins?
Oh,
Look at that.
Wasn't me.
I got one.
I found them in the cabinet in there.
Well, I said I go.
Did the
"Why
cabinet
you
that
look
Scott said he looked in all of them
Yep.
already?
Jeff.
Oh, okay, all
I don't
right.
need one. Jeff went to the restroom to get some.
I have an allergic reaction from eating tomato sauce. So
Oh.
I have to, you'll watch me and I look like I'm trying to be some dainty little princess, which I'm not. And if it touches my skin, I'll start breaking out. I'm like an awful rash, so whenever I eat them, I'm very careful.
There's no fire department here. We can't give you anything.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just have to drive over there.
Yeah.
We got defibrillators.
I think that's gonna help her.
It'd be fun to try though.
Maybe just a
If
little
you go
bit.
too far gone.
So put on low. Can't be worse than my dog's little
Can we?
short colors.
All right. We're gonna get on the Tree City USA, guys, because Jeff said he can get a, here, pass him around. Come in with-
Yeah. She usually does. You met
Yeah.
a friend of
Maybe we lost because they cut all those screws
I
out.
work with her.
She tripped all over them.
Yeah.
Keeps an eye on it.
Yeah, she does. They're plant people.
I was shocked because
But she was really super excited.
I was like,
to have it
I
in
always
there
look forward
anyway.
every year seeing our name in here. And it was fun.
For sure. For that area.
Goes right from Portland to Rochester.
Mhm.
You know, they bought her.
Found some napkins back there too. Anyone need napkins or something?
What, last year?
All right. Who we missed?
Pray.
So they think they're unfair.
He's on his way, I believe.
Okay, and so when we do go through this, guys, if there is questions, like a quick question on a line item or whatever, don't be afraid to ask Ann or I. We just won't get into major analysis and counterpoint with any line items tonight, but we will definitely explain what we can with those line items that you may have questions with. That's all. All right, just don't, stop and say, hey, does this mean this, or what do you mean by that?
All right, we're gonna go back to page 165. If we go to Riverview Highlands, obviously, things have been put off for a long time, and so it's time to, he definitely needs a roof. So, in this budget, the roof replacement of $186,000. Definitely been put off too long. And then, also, he was gonna do some bathroom renovations, new bathroom renovations. So those were the two major, capital improvements that he's getting done this year.
Do something to eat, Dave, before he gets.
I'm good, thanks.
There's cannolis.
You guys weren't as entertaining without me at the table.
So any questions there? If anyone's been over there, those are two things that definitely need to be done. Can't put them off anymore.
And the bathrooms are not, they're kind of just to facelift, we're not gonna, we basically take out, new flooring, put new flooring in, and new toilets, and
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like knock the walls down and restart.
And then 166. The only really thing we have is,
Can you borrow one of these? Good, Dave.
I would take that one.
There you go.
the rec center wanted to redo some doors. That was for $15,000. And then the park improvement equipment is $75,000. That's just an every year thing for just his maintenance of like, of fixing it and doing the, what's it called?
That's the mulch.
Mulch and all
And
that
that's the
stuff.
infield stuff
Yes.
for the fields and stuff, so.
But again, any major capital improvements we put off again. He had talked about some physical fitness equipment, that they were gonna receive a matching grant. But it would be $50,000, but we'd still have to come up with $200,000. So we just don't have anything to do that type of capital improvement.
Question.
Yeah.
The 75,000, is this park improvements? Is that just normal safety
That's just
stuff, or
normal
there's no
stuff.
extra like rubber
No.
mulch, anything like that?
Yeah.
Could be some
Could
mulch
be
in there.
mulch,
Yeah,
but-
mulch could be in
And
there.
could be like, I think last time you bought benches or just some tables and benches.
So,
but not-
Nicole, to your
not-
question, that was a great question. What we did was, because it wasn't done in a long time, we had a third party come in and inspect all our playground equipment, inspect all our mulch around it, and they wrote recommendations. And they put things at high risk, regular risk, and great. We didn't have too many at high risk. I think there was only a couple of those, and we picked those. And then at the medium risk or whatever we're working on right now, so that will be done with everything that we have to be in compliant with the law for our playground equipment.
Okay, thank you.
So with zero room for play and capital improvement, we won't be going after any matching fund type grants, right?
I mean, if we can, if we see them, if we get them, but that was, he said it was, I think it's the annual, they give you $50,000 a year, and that's what that match was. That block grant, that, we just got that playscape, that was almost $600,000. So if we do get them, we will look into them, we're not gonna
So
just
we have to
pass them
match
up. The
What was our match on the playground?
The-
So how,
There
remember?
was no match.
There was
No
no
match.
Not for the
yeah.
county one.
No, there was no match on that
right.
one.
So when we
We're
do
looking at
get
some
them,
more of
obviously,
these grants now.
yeah.
We're shooting for $500,000 to get it. We'll see how that goes.
$500,000 for, I'm sorry, for matching or?
No, for,
That we'll get.
just playscapes, something like that.
So yeah, they did do that.
So
We
I
did.
No match.
The
usually
reason-
ask if there's, we don't normally budget money set aside for if we have matching grants, right? We just try to find somewhere within the budget to make it work.
Right,
Correct.
yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, we would definitely bring it and say, hey,
Which-
we're getting a matching grant, we would definitely let you know about it,
And that's when you kind of use a little bit of fund balance.
yeah.
If you can't have it or you don't need it, you don't want the opportunity to lose the grant, you would go to fund balance and we'd get, council with a vote and say,
Yeah.
you take 250,000, for example, 250 out of fund balance as the matching grant, and you can say yea or nay. That's kind of a reason that you try to build that fund balance up too for those type of, you know,
For things you can't plan for.
right,
Correct.
that's what, yep.
Yeah. There is the parking lot, Young Patriots parking lot, we had talked about that, so we're gonna do that in 2 phases, 50,000 this year and 50,000 next year. That's the one over by the library.
Yeah, and you know, that's the baseball field parking lot,
Yeah.
that's just, like, half of it
Terrible.
is bad. And, you know, just, I don't wanna let the, you know, cat out of the bag, but we're gonna be getting the tunnel of tower, which is the 9/11 trailers. They're coming next year from the 9/11 fire, where the New York Fire Department's gonna bring them in and have the kids walk through it. And we need that parking lot to put the 4 trailers on, so we're trying to knock out half this year and half the next year, so that we have it, not only for the use of the city, but we need a place to put it, because they need a certain amount of
Yeah, square footage.
square footage and room around it, so that would be a perfect
That's
spot.
amazing.
Yeah, so
I'm
we have that
excited for
coming
that.
next year, next April, a year from now.
What type of surface on the parking
It'll
lot?
be asphalt.
We tried to do the cement, but that was not gonna work. And then, we do plan on doing some, path upgrades to the Veterans Memorial Walkway, about 35,000. So we did put some stuff in, but just more repair necessary. On page 168, this is all the capital improvement for the land reserve, what's needed. So we're budgeting $3 million. The biggest portion of that is final cover. We're gonna talk about that a lot. We plan on putting about $2 million in, it just depends on where royalties come in, and we'll be looking at that as well when we go into that budget.
And that's really, and Jeff Kay will talk about the cover. As we get to the end of our life of our landfill, the state keeps asking, why aren't we closing? The area of the landfill is closed for additional trash or tons, so why aren't you closing that? Why aren't you getting that ready for closure? And it's been monetary before, where they kicked the can down the road and said, yeah, someday we'll get there. Well, with our closure in the next 7-8 years, we've got to start doing that, because we can't get to the end and, you know, and not have any of it done. So, yes, we're using the royalties to earn interest, but we're also budgeting to start closing it because we have to. So, and that's just not dirt, because, you know, potentially we're going to get some dirt from the golf course or potentially dirt from other sources. So, you know, we don't want to spend it all on dirt, but, you know, that membrane's pretty expensive. To put the membrane down and get that done too, so. And Jeff will talk about it. He's got, in his area, you know, he can talk about exactly the plan.
So again, we looked at total capital improvements of about $23 million, but most of them are paid for with user fees, either the land preserve or the water and sewer. Everything else is very minimal, as you can see through the process. You look at capital equipment, page 171. The only thing, now these are more vehicles and new equipment. The only things that we have really plotted are a truck for the DPW. We're going to pay for it with major local roads, and that's on page 171 in the second column, 26-27 column. We go to page 173.
And the old truck will go to the landfills.
Yeah.
Not just,
And 173, we're gonna have 2 vehicle replacements for the police department. They're getting old, so he says he definitely needs 2 police cars. And that's pretty common, you know, usually you replace a couple.
Is that coming out of the general fund, or is it?
That will come out of capital improvement,
So
yeah.
we're done with the forfeiture money?
Yes, we're done with the forfeiture. There's only a small amount left. Then there's some vests, a couple of car cameras on the bottom, and the flock cameras. That's all there. And then I think the golf course was gonna get a tractor. Oh,
no, we got that this year.
you did?
Yeah, I think the golf course might be getting,
Yeah,
they hope to get a mower, but that operations will tell us if we get.
right.
Golf is throttled by
How much we
revenue
make.
over expense,
Yes.
because we don't take loans for the golf course equipment. It just, if they make the money, and they save the money,
Yep.
they'll spend it on the equipment. We're not gonna
No.
go out and borrow for the golf course, so. Sean, do you remember what you had in your?
Yeah, we have one mower,
Yeah.
45,000.
Yeah.
Yep, one greens mower.
Yep.
And it's really hard for me, because when I came in 19, we bought 2 greens mowers. They're already 6 years old. I mean, and they go out every day, you know? And it's
Yeah.
like, I can't believe I'm talking about even putting a greens mower here, but it's 6 years. And, you know, they go out every day, and we have 27 holes, we don't have 18, and, you know, we would keep the 19s or the 20s that we got, and we've got older ones. We've got 13s and 14s that back them up, so we'd replace some of those. That's what we would replace one with one of the old ones that we're currently using as backup.
I think what police cars are 2013, 2000.
Yeah, they're old too, yep.
2015, they're getting rid of them.
And we put 2 in there, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna say it out front. I told John, we put 2 in the budget, but you may only get 1, and he goes, okay, you know, one's better than none. We're gonna throttle that too. We gotta pay attention, you know,
Yeah.
we'll look at our quarterly reports, we'll see where we're at. we've got contracts that are coming up this year and other things that we just don't know until they're settled, where we're really gonna be.
Jeff?
Yes,
It's my understanding that flock cameras have not been installed yet, so we have not paid for them yet.
correct.
So
We won't pay for them until they get installed.
So will that give us an extra, in essence, 30-some or $26,000 pushing it out?
Yeah.
Potentially?
Yep.
Yep,
Yep, if it doesn't go, yep.
yep. If they don't get put in, then we wouldn't pay, right?
178, big thing, is he's buying a dozer over this year and next year, in the land preserve, so those are big ticket items. And then, mini excavator. That's all of the bigger questions.
All
And
right.
he said, you can see on these schedules, you just kind of push it down until you can get it, and keep pushing it down the road.
That's not the answer.
That's not the answer, but
That's what we're doing.
that's kind of life, so. All right, any questions on the overall general all before we go into the individual funds? So,
Nope.
so today we go into the enterprise funds, and the reason why they're called enterprise fund is they maintain themselves on their own with no tax dollars, is the theory. So we're gonna start with the, and those would be the golf, the land preserve, and the water and sewer funds. So we're gonna start with golf on page 122. And you guys tell me how fast or how slow you wanna go through these. So, on page 122 is the summary of the golf. We can go into it, but we have our, if you guys want to go over line items, if you want to go over the financial highlights, we can do a little bit of both. So, we just got a couple graphs basically showing you where the revenues have gone, and then the expenses are up there. If you look at salaries and wages, the two tops, and then the operating expenses that go underneath. The current year, we're projecting a net cash flow of like $2,000, so basically it's a break even. We're trying to break even. If you go to page,
Which we've done better
Yeah.
than what we budgeted for. And historically, in golf, it's really hard because it's weather dependent. That's first and foremost. And second, we don't know what kind of operating expenses we get into with some of the irrigation and chemical increases, and so we budget conservatively so that hopefully we can we've beaten it, in the last number of years. So we did, just to let you know, we did raise golf rates, so we're expecting a couple $100,000 more in revenue from golf rates. Sean got really aggressive with customer, Sean, what do you call those? They're not member, season passes. So we increased season passes, and we still got a large number of season pass holders. So that's a lot of revenue. And this year is the first year that Sean agreed with me that all leagues have to take carts. They have to pay for carts. Everywhere else in the world, leagues pay for carts when they have their league fee. Riverview was one of the only places that allowed league members to walk and not pay the cart fee. So they can still walk, but it's golf and cart fee, yeah. And so, in pace of play, when you take a cart, the leagues move faster, so everyone can get done before dark. So there was a lot of reason, and Sean came up, and we came up with, an additional amount of revenue from those sources just to cover the increase in the hourly rates. I mean, minimum wage went up. Yeah, and it's gonna go up again, isn't it?
Yep.
So 3 in a matter of 2 years, which is unheard of, especially in golf. It's tough.
So we're always looking
Yeah.
at ways to, there's two ways to make money legally, and everyone will tell you this in business. You sell more or you cut your expenses, and a lot of people like to cut the expenses, but that's really, you're cutting yourself out of business. You gotta do a little of both. You gotta grow revenue, and you gotta reduce expense or hold expense constant. because the golf is all about service. If you don't have a place they want to come and play, and they don't feel comfortable, then they're not going to play. And it's very proven. Just think, when I got here in 2019, they were doing $1 million, $1.2 million. What's our budget in revenue this year? 2.9. I mean, congrats to the golf team to see that the golf course is worth more than they thought it was, and that rounds our way up, so. And we hope to continue to trend in that direction. And we'll watch it, Sean's good at it. Sean will, I like Sean with his idea, if there's a rain day, everybody, you know, sure, we like to have people working, but if it's a rain day and we have no revenue coming in, he sends his staff home. It's a seasonal job, I'm sorry. You know, people want to make money, but you can't make money if we're not collecting money. So he's done a really good job at sending people home and really paying attention to how many people he's got on the floor all the time. And he's, you know, the old saying, if you take care of all the little things, the big things will happen, and that's kind of what we've seen in golf the last few years. Now, we got a late start this year, but I'm convinced that the pent-up demand from the rounds missed in late February and March will recoup in April, May, and June, as long as the weather stays, you know, consistent.
So yeah, we did budget 2.9 million. We're probably being aggressive, but again, it's weird with the golf season because this is 2 budget years. So you've got 3 months in last year, 3 months in this year, so we can always watch. If it's not going as good as we want, we just start pulling back on the expenses. So we did, like I said, be aggressive, but he did raise rates, and hopefully we have a good season.
And one other thing that I'd like to say too, I asked Ann if she would take herself and her finance team over to these departments and work with their controllers and cost controllers and help them read the data and help them manage by the numbers. And Ann took that on and spent days at golf. And I know Ann's went to the landfill and worked with Erica there because for me, I really like to touch those numbers and see where they're trending and what's going on. And I think she was able to show them in some of the reports information that they weren't looking at. So now we're looking at it on a very consistent basis of what's going on in their books.
The one thing I did bring back is you guys need a roof now. We'll find it.
But I think it's important to have budget and finance out at these different departments to work with their people to kind of show them what these numbers mean, because, you know, they're processing it, but they don't sometimes see the trees from the forest, so.
Yep. So, and then we're gonna look at debt service. So over the years, the golf course does have some debt on its books. The first couple, the principal from water and sewer, that was the loan we did from water a couple years ago. It's still at $1.9 million, so it's going down. We are paying it as required, so we are doing that, and it's keeping up with that. And then the other one is the principal at Land Preserve. That's at $342 still, and we've been paying that down as required from the international golf.
And I applaud city council, because I brought that up as, hey, look,
And it's
we
working.
had it under, like, kind of just as a gentleman's agreement. And when council said that we're gonna capitalize it and charge interest at an arm's length transaction between the departments, it's a way that we track the numbers so everybody can see what's going on. What got transferred to the different department, and where's the payments going, and how much interest are they paying back to the interfunds. So I think it's a real clean way, and I applaud council for moving forward with that.
Yep, and then the only other that they have is the carts. So the payment, interest and principal payment for the carts, for the new carts.
And let's talk about those carts, because I want
Carts
to talk
are
about the revenue.
revenues.
If you go to page, I'm going to give you the page.
124.
Yeah, 124, cart revenue. We're budgeting 470,000 in cart revenue. So we're collecting 470,000, and we're paying what in payments? 80?
Yeah,
80.
90.
So it's a profit center. And as long as we get the rounds out and the carts out, it pays for itself. So when people say, why do you get carts every 4 years? This is exactly why. Because when these carts age after 4 years and people don't want to take them, because it's just like you picking a rental car up at the airport. Someone's got cigarette burns, it smells like smoke, it's in bad shape, you walk right back in and say, give me another rental car. Well, in a golf business, if they get in that cart like that, they say, give me my money back, I'm not taking this cart. So So that's why we do it, and that was proven. I know when I first got here, the carts were 8 or 9 years old, and they said, oh, they still run. No, they don't. Yeah, they run, but they're not making any money. They're losing your money in rounds. So there you go. That's exactly where you can sell to residents that why it makes sense.
No, there was 26 out of service when I went up there on a surprise visit, so they weren't running.
Yeah.
So,
I know. But anyhow, and just so you know, that all the repair costs, because we pay a little extra, but all the repair costs are under warranty. So if it goes down, what Sean will do with his team is they'll get 2 or 3 down at once and call the company, and they come out and fix the 2 or 3 the next day. And that's important, because it's not our mechanic that's fixing it away from our mowers and all, it's the
Right.
car company. And if they're down and they can't get them right, they'll give us loaners, so that we still have a whole fleet of carts to rent to our outings and our leagues and our public. Yes, sir.
What's included in sundry revenues and why is it declining from 18,000 down to 500?
Sundry is just
Third from the top.
miscellaneous, it's just total miscellaneous, something must have happened.
That's not advertising, is it?
No,
No.
something
Okay.
must have, is that sale equipment or sundry?
Sundry.
Yeah, it could have just been a deposit for something, I don't even know what that, I would have to go look. That's not normal, something came in, either it was, there was some activity or transaction
Right.
that was
So,
out of the ordinary.
Previous year,
It's
423 is probably around that $500 mark.
Right. Probably nothing. It's just miscellaneous, whatever it was. I see what you're saying, but it's got something odd. It might have been for some of the stuff with the old tenant that we got. It might have been something.
Oh,
With the
yeah.
old tenant.
Could have been like Joe Orlando payments
Yeah,
from
something
Sportsman's
like
Den
that.
when it
Yeah,
came in.
Yeah.
He had to reimburse us for some of the
Yes,
landscape that
that's
we paid
probably
for.
what that was.
We paid the landscaper to do all the new landscape.
Mhm.
Part of that was his, so he had to pay us back.
Yeah, just got.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look down at part-time salaries, so it went from, last year's budget was 455, we're at 523. Minimum wage goes up at January 1st of 26 to $15 an hour. And they're usually using about 35,000 hours of part-time salaries, part-time wages. So he's juggling that.
What's it? Where's it at and what's it increasing to, 15 to 16?
No, it goes up to 15. It's like 12.78 right now, and then January 1st, it goes up to $15 an hour.
There's a lot of part-time hours because you gotta
Yeah.
remember, we're open from sun up to sundown.
Yeah, it's about
From
35,000
April
hours.
through October. 7 days a week.
Yep. And then for salaries, he's only has, for full-time, he's got 4 full-time people at the golf course. So it's four full-time salaries. And that's
There's
usually.
how many in maintenance? There's 2 in maintenance,
Yeah, and-
3 in maintenance,
Yeah.
and 1 in the golf shop.
Yeah.
So the director is full-time, and then the
3 others.
mechanic,
Yep,
the superintendent,
yep,
and the
Try to get it done.
the assistant superintendent.
yep. It's 4 full-time, it's 4 full-time people. And between, expenditures are basically 90% in the golf course and 10%, they're just allocated to practice field. On the next fund. See anything that jumping out at you? And then we look down on page 126. And it's not brain surgery, right? So a lot of times when you're doing a budget, the telephone's $12,000, it's $12,000, it's it's probably gonna be $12,000. You know, you just kinda go through, look at the history. And most of the time, I always say, it is what it is, you can't change it. So if you look down at the bottom of 126, here's all the expenditures. So those revenues in the enterprise fund has to take care of the expenditures. So we have to have enough money to pay for it. So we have on the bottom of page 126, there's that $186,000 for the roof and the $25,000 for the restrooms, and then the $45,000 for the, so we had to have enough revenue to pay for those. That it
So
doesn't
your
look-
question would be, if there's not enough revenue, then some of those things wouldn't get done.
Yeah.
And we'd have to prioritize what's important of those things that get done.
Yeah.
And we'll get a pretty good feel for that after July, August, September.
Right. Yep, where we're at. Questions on golf? Okay, go over to golf practice.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
Sean.
sorry.
Go ahead, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Practice. I thought you were done with that.
Nope.
Okay.
Is he talking?
He was telling him he could leave. He was telling him he could go.
Almost.
But no, as you can see, everything just, it's just going up, right? The cost of everything, so, thank you guys for taking the time to understand that. And the amount of staff that we need to run that place, it is year-round. We try to keep it year-round, but the weather obviously is the major factor, right? So, it's been rough, but we're getting there. So, when we're open, it's great.
Today was good.
Yeah, it's been amazing. The numbers look great. We're selling product, everything's moving. Everybody's excited. All leagues are coming back. So, I mean, we're going to hit marks. So, just hang in there with us and hopefully we recruit.
One thing, though, I'd like you guys to go over and look at when you get a chance is the pro shop, and in the back, Sean is really detail oriented. He's reorganized all the inventory. It's all locked up. It's all organized, and everything is set there. As well as we've taken that organization down to the maintenance building, even though it's old and it needs a lot of help. We sold all the equipment that was bad. We got rid of all the old tractors that weren't used for 10 years. We got rid of all the old mowers. And cleaned up the maintenance building, and kind of looks really good now. It's organized where everybody knows where each piece of equipment goes after it's washed when it comes in. And even Sean, we got a new tractor for the driving range to pick up the balls, and they were just going to park it there. And I asked a quick question about, well, when do you wash it? And that Sean's eyes lit up, and they said, well, we really don't wash the tractor. What? And so Sean goes, yeah, we're going to get you a power washer out by the range, and when you're done picking balls, you're going to take a power washer and wash that tractor. Because, hey, listen, you get mud on the tires, you get mud on the metal, it rusts. When you buy a new piece of equipment, it should be washed every day after you use it, so
Jeff,
that's,
speaking of the maintenance shed, the 186 includes redoing the roof on the maintenance shed too, correct?
I'm not sure. So Hyle, is that both, or is that just the pro shop?
Pro shop. Because I've been in there and
The maintenance
see a
city
skylight,
Mhm.
side of the golf cart.
And the
Kids
roof-
used
So-
to work in there, they'll tell you.
I would love to say that, should the development ever go and the building's gotta get knocked down or moved or whatever, we wouldn't have to do that roof. And I would love to say whatever he can do to patch it until the decisions are made is what I'd like to do. But I'm not sure the engineer is gonna say that it can be patched. And
We
so,
do have $10,000 if you look at line 484, 5847, 974097, maintenance garage golf course. So we do have a $10,000.
but you're right, Councilman Williams, it's a mess.
And then the golf practice, really that pretty much takes care of itself. Like I said, we just allocate the 10% of salaries and wages to those accounts. We're thinking about closing it, but we said, okay, we're gonna just combine the two, but we thought to keep them separate when we're here to see what's going on. I did pay off the debt, so the little fund took care of itself, took off the water and sewer, and that got paid off, so that's not owing on that, so it just basically breaks even as well. All right. Good? Okay, now we can move on to the land position.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what page did you just?
Let's go to 139, land preserve.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
Dig out.
be honest, how much did he give you to let him go quick?
I know, that's my son, I was like, shake the dice, through the straws, the cards. He's got the longest ride home, that's why. All right, well, a land preserve, you're gonna see a lot of big numbers, because that's just what they are, a lot of big numbers. If we look at revenue, we are
What page you on again?
141.
Okay.
We're taking down revenue a little bit. Yep. Good to go. So, just trying to take in less trash, trying to take down the numbers just a little bit so that we don't fill up as quickly as we think we're going to. Jeff did put all the numbers together as far as the revenue projections that he's been working on.
Can I just touch base on that real quick?
Sure.
So, I've always talked about the reduction plan of tonnage. That started really October, November of last year. Fast forward to January, February, March of this year, the weather kind of accelerated that. So now there's a lot of backlog of projects that are in the marketplace right now. It's making a judgment call on the types of materials that are coming in. Obviously, there's a lot of dirt projects that are happening right now, excavation projects, things of that nature. But the focus that I have is, it starts with the customers, it starts with the volume. Pricing. We just took a gate rate that started January 1st of this year. The customers now will get their price increase starting July 1st. So there's going to be, as we move forward with, it's lowering the volume, but it's trying to maintain somewhat of a revenue goal. And it's not an easy process to go through. But it starts with a customer base, and they will dictate whether they still want to come in or whether they're going to use the other 4 landfills that are in Wayne County. So that's the competitive nature in which we operate in. So I just wanted to mention that as you see the volume or the revenue forecasted down, that's what's driving it. It's kind of a planned, steady, methodical approach for reduction. It's not taking a machete, it's taking a surgical knife to it. So over time.
And Jeff, I don't want to speak for you, but if there's a need for revenue, he can go out and get the revenue if he has to get it.
Yeah.
You know, pass the contractual, like, hey, I want so many tons, we need X number of dollars. He'll just go out, make the calls, and get the revenue, get the tons. But he's managing the tons and the dollars.
The consequence of that is then.
Fills up faster. But if we still have to pay our bills there. And so we got to make sure we take enough revenue in to pay our bills and do the things we need to do at the landfill.
And then I want to bring to your attention, we are maintaining the $1.2 million for royalties in the fund right now. Again, until that all gets worked out. But most
To date, just to let everyone know, we are, if the gas is good, we are receiving 100,000 plus a month. I don't know what the highest we're getting. I saw like 120 once.
Yep.
But if we got bad gas, a bad volume through the winter, we had a major leak and we were losing volume of gas and the quality wasn't good. It was down as low as what? And 80?
78.
Yep. So there's a reason why you do the gas projects and you do the monitoring and you do the pumps, because the more gas you can push them, the better your royalty is going to be. But it doesn't come free because it costs for infrastructure, pumps and drilling, and so it's kind of, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because you need that money, so.
So last year, actual was 1.3. Now we're
Yes.
projecting another 1.2.
Are we still guaranteed the 400,000 for losing tribunal?
The 400 in a contingent,
Yeah. When we
the
were-
taxes,
Yeah.
they would go back to, we'd pay them back, the 400,000
So we can end up with that.
in taxes, but we get to 1.2 million in royalties. Yeah. But it's gonna take a year, in my best guess, that's why I'm leaving that number there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a year for the tax tribunal to figure that out.
And then debt service. So the debt service, why we call it SunTrust leasing, it's not, I don't know why I should take that off. That is the actual line of credit. So the line of credit that we have for 35 million is we spend about $260,000 on interest a year for that. That's a more like that.
And what are we earning on interest on that, on those royalty payments that you started in
Oh,
first
we're
class?
still about 4%,
Okay,
little less.
yeah. So we're still,
Yeah. It's
our
like 4 and a
interest,
quarter.
so our interest is still exceeding our interest expense.
Absolutely, yep, yep. And then, the principal water and sewer, that's the loan. Again, we are keeping current on that.
What's that number, Ann?
It's 4.2 million, we started on 5.2. And then we do have.
What's our
some
annual
leasing.
payment on that, just so they know?
Almost 575.
Okay.
And then, we did they have leasing of 2, the
Compactors.
compactors. And
Mhm.
that's about a little over 550 a year. That should be paid off in a couple of years. And then bringing in the, salaries, benefits, so. How many people do they have full-time? How many do you have full-time, Jeff?
Full-time, we are sitting at,
50?
no,
Oh, wait, it must be with the
Yeah, you got the ticket office.
Yeah.
You got the
you
operators.
say 50?
15.
15.
15.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Yep, 15.
But I think when I got to the landfill in 19, they had 16 or 17 operators. Jeff, what are you down to now?
21 they had,
We have eight full-time over there.
yeah.
I kept, they didn't like me, but I started and Jeff continued.
22, 23, they had 21.
Yeah, so it was like, what was going on there, you know? It was, so we have done our due diligence of trying to match
Mhm.
the amount of work to the number of FTEs there. And
Yeah.
he continues to do the same thing.
Like I said, these are a lot of big ticket items you're gonna see. And they stay pretty consistent. Just gas, diesel, fuels, $550,000. Maintenance, 500. So these are, and he watches them, he keeps within budget for sure. These are, let's see.
Question on the leachate removals at $500,000. Is there any other expenditures related to the removal of leachate besides that line?
We
item?
got the leachate and the testing. Let's see, the one below it, the leachate. No, I think those
It's in
are.
the middle of page 143.
Yep, those are the only two, I think.
Okay.
Leachate removal. The monitoring, did you see the one up there?
65.
65.5.
Now, just to that point, as we start closing parts of the landfill, there'll be less and less leaching because the liner will capture and not allow the liquid through the hill. So there's an advantage of doing final cover and membrane and final cover so that you can save on that.
Any more questions?
It shows legal fees, 180,000.
Yes. It's
There's a
all of
lot of legal.
So
It's the
I'll give you,
contracts.
well,
contract, all the.
I'll let Jeff answer it, but Jeff, you,
The
legal is contractual,
Oh, yeah.
labor agreements.
Labor agreements.
That's,
CBA.
it
All the
would be
contracts
on
that you look over.
any kind of claim that the landfill will have. I know we had a lawsuit for
Yeah.
loss of life
Yeah.
that, you know, we had up there. We had a lawsuit for collision, sub-collision, you know, like if we have to get the attorneys involved that says we didn't hit, the, you know, that kind of a claim. What other, you know, and then.
Pollution. Just
Pollution,
looking
they
at
do all our
this plan,
pollution
Compliance.
certificates.
Compliance, yeah.
Compliance, they review the compliance reports.
Analytical results.
Mhm.
Good point, too.
They're on the landfill committee meetings, paid for the meeting, so. And what does that compare to a prior year? Is it pretty close?
Activity was 219, yeah, we actually lowered it a little bit.
Yeah. What was the year before that?
259. So
That's
it
because,
stays
you know what
pretty
that is?
consistent.
That had a lot to do with expansion
Yeah.
permits. and
Yes,
all.
all that expansion, looking
Yeah.
at that stuff. So, yeah. Surcharge.
Can I just touch base real quick on the
Yeah.
surcharges?
Yeah.
So we pay out state, county, and Monroe, just based on where our customers do business. But so when we pay out surcharges on a quarterly basis, those will be lowered, our payout will be lowered because we're lowering tonnage. We're not gonna have as much, the same tonnage as we had in years past. So you can call it a savings, if you will, but it's not really, because you're losing it up front, but you're not paying it out as much in the back, so.
Well, the good news is, it's not based on sales dollars, it's
Correct.
based on tons.
Tons.
So if we're getting a bigger sale dollar per ton, we're actually gaining a little bit, because we're gaining more and paying out less in the tons. So if you, as much as you can get per ton, you win with surcharges, so.
Go to page 144. Like I said, here's that 2 million, we're putting 2.2 for the cover. We're just gonna have to see how much we have to be able to actually start doing that process. I do see Councilman Webb, there's another leak. That was the systems. That was, if we're gonna do the water treatment plant. Those were just kind of costs that getting settled from that. And if we have a discharge that we would have to pay for.
Now, on the same page, 145, that's where the old numbers used to be, that the transfers to the general fund, 1.5 million, and then it went to 500,000, and then, of course, it's zero this year.
Jeff, I'm missing 145.
Huh?
I'm missing page 145. Good.
You are? Good, you don't want
You wanna look at
145.
mine, just for the sake of looking at it?
Really?
Really?
He ripped it out.
He did. He didn't want.
That's what I do, I rip out the pages. that
I didn't
way
want
you
those
guys
pages
see.
either.
Yep.
So, if
We'll
you
get you
can
one
see,
though.
It's there, it's
Okay,
backwards.
it's backwards.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, one of my pages back here is the
Yeah.
wrong way.
Okay. Now I
So
get
if
it.
you look at, we literally are just doing nothing. We're paying, it was 1.5, it's 5, it's 0. We are actually not even putting anything in capital project. We're not taking anything right now from the landfill. We used to put 200,000 in capital project. We're not even doing that. We can't say both ways. We can't say, no, we're helping, and no, we're not. So it's up to standing on its own now. We do charge, so that everyone is aware, we do charge an administrative fee. It's up here, of 760,000. It's on fourth line down on page 144. That is basically 5%. So we charge the DPW 5%, we charge the landfill 5%, we charge the golf course 5%. So basically, it's our charge of doing payroll and doing all the stuff that if they had to own their own business. And it's a concept that we do. It's being charged 5% across the board. So even though we're not doing anything else, we are charging them a fee.
And that's generally
services.
accepted,
That's generally accepted.
governmental accounting
Yes.
policy, that your enterprise funds can be charged the admin fee to get
Yeah.
HR, payroll,
Yep.
payables, billing, city managers.
Otherwise, they
Very
might have their
common.
own employees.
They would have their
That's
own
right.
employees do
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Okay.
Can we renegotiate?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
always
yeah.
wants to renegotiate. He goes, what? But anyway.
If I could do anything in this world for this, I'd love to be able to get rid of that. I wish we were so flush that we could get rid of it. Because I used to sit out there and just say, and I nicknamed it the White House tax, but I'd love to get rid of it, but you can't, because it's been ingrained for many, many years, so that's how it worked. And I understand it. It happened in the other city that I was part of, so it's not uncommon to happen, but.
Yes. But right now, they're cash flowing fine until we make that one journal entry that accumulates our unfunded liability.
How, explain to them how big it was last year at
It was
audit time.
like okay, so let's just, for no other reason, let's go look at our activity right now from 3/31/26. They were up $3 million. Last year, I think we ended the year at $3 million ahead. And then I made that journal entry to record the liability, and I ended up at 548 to the loss. I was like, what? I was up $3 million.
So that's
One
a-
stroke of a pen.
That's
to record the
a
liability.
That's a paper entry,
Yep.
so we still have the cash, and
Yeah.
it's still in the fund earning the interest, but unfortunately, you gotta book the liability, because that's generally accepted accounting
I was like,
principles
what?
that, hey, you gotta book a liability when it's identified and estimatable, which it's both, you gotta book it. So it makes it go to zero, makes it go to negative.
Yeah. Even though cash flowing, you're bringing in more revenue than we're paying out, and it just, that's just the way this fund operates. Any questions on the land?
Jeff, is there anything that you want to add that, I let Sean speak a little bit, so I'll let you speak a little bit to any line items that you think are important for council to hear tonight before they take their information back and,
Yeah, let me just touch base on the final cover. We had talked briefly real quick on it. So we're in the process right now, when you look at the 4 quadrants of the landfill, south, north, east, and west, the first phase of final cover will be on the east side of the hill, facing the cell tower, and between the cell tower and the landfill and the golf course, if you will. So the east side, that's the east slope. The second phase of final cover is going to be the south slope, which is facing Trenton. Okay? Once those two are, there's going to be trash going to be dumped there. I just want to give everybody a heads up. So the east, we're almost done with. It all has, there's a process of final cover. So it's getting all the space for trash, the extra capacity that we have. Then you final cover with dirt, or you put dirt on it, then you have to grade it. And then you have to put a membrane down, and then you have to put more dirt on top of it, like almost 1.5 feet, 2 feet of dirt on top of the membrane. And then once that is all done, then you seed it. And then you'll never be able to use that space again. So the first phase is on the east slope. Second phase of final cover will be on the south slope, and then we get into the north slope across from the RNG plant. And then the last phase will be on the west side of the hill, as the road, the paved road up that goes up, that will eventually be our exit out of the landfill. And there's a lot of dirt underneath that road. There's 30, 40 feet worth of dirt.
Clean dirt.
Clean dirt. So that's the project right now. That's the vision. But phase 1 will be the east slope. So I just want to point that out. The other thing is, the well field focus. That's really the future for the city. That'll benefit the city in the future. That's why it's important to invest now into like water pumps, or pumps for the gas wells that have water in it. That's all part of compliance with the new Part 115 regulation. So dewatering gas wells and putting pumps in there with air and force main will help not only flow, but it'll also help the quality of methane gas. So the GCCS projects moving forward, that's where the focus will be. And that's really all I have. The equipment, it's right sizing the equipment to the remaining airspace. We did that, and I thank you for the for the new dozer. That's going to be beneficial moving forward. So, other than that, that's really all I have. The tonnage reduction plan, we got the final cover projects going in GCCS. There's a lot going on at the landfill, but I've got a good solid team to make it all happen as we move forward. So.
One thing I want to say about final cover too, because I didn't understand it, so I kind of got educated. You just don't go say, okay, I'm going to do final cover. You have to do it at a certain amount of acreage at a certain amount of time. So you like to, because you've got mobilization of companies that come out and help with final cover. So you don't mobilize for an acre, you don't mobilize for 50 acres. It's usually right around 10 acres, 10 to 12 acres that you final cover at a time. And with final cover at 10 acres at a time, we'll eat up that $2 million budget pretty quick. We might be able to get 20 acres, 22 acres, and $2 million. So it's ungodly expensive to do this final cover. That's why it was always kicked down the road, because no one would take it on to actually budget for it and start doing it. But we can't afford not to do it. We've got to do it, so.
What'd you estimate, 28 million
Yeah.
for the final cover?
Yeah. So we are doing what we can do. All right, Jeffrey, thank you.
Yep.
All right, on to water and sewer. That is page 130.
Does anyone need a break? You need water? You need anything?
I am gonna grab a water.
Give them 5 minutes. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I think I have a couple sodas if anyone needs a soda too.
Soda? Where are you from?
Oh, California. California, that's where I learned that term.
Soda pop.
Where I went to college.
Soda?
But in college, we drink different kind of sodas.
Some more to eat.
These cannolis are so good. Whoever
See,
decided
that's the
to
mom and her.
bring
You
those.
gotta clean it up. I didn't eat any, so I'm not cleaning it. We're here.
I know.
We want to go quicker?
No.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's go a little slower.
No!
I will hurt
Water
you.
and sewer will good.
I'll get a pot of coffee. Don't hang on.
No, I got to get water and sewer.
Gotta get up at 5 o'clock. We're not getting coffee now. I hated coffee
We have
at
to go home now.
4 o'clock.
8:30.
I don't have
No.
anything else. Yeah. No, no, it's a brownie points. Watch this. Watch this.
What do we do?
Oh, it's a brownie point. Time he comes in to see me, he's gotta have one of those.
You don't need one at this time of day.
Oh,
You're wasting your effort.
doesn't matter. I can do it. I'm nice.
Have a good night, everybody.
Susan would have wanted something, or you guys would have wanted something.
Good for you.
You're drinking pot, that won't keep you up?
I can drink coffee 15 minutes before going to bed.
Oh, is that right?
My wife goes,
Is that right?
"You're drinking coffee right now?" I said, "I am." And then
I gotta
I'm
check on
snoring
those.
about 15 minutes later. So I can,
I don't drink anything hardly.
I just
I have a
felt
cup of
like I
coffee
needed
in the
it.
morning, that's it.
Is it?
Well, let's see, you can take naps.
That's right, I can't.
Yes, anytime.
I can't wait for that day. I can be able to take a nap.
I can
all the
fall
day.
asleep anywhere.
Well, I can't lie, and you guys won't believe this, because my wife came over and she actually took a picture of it. I fell asleep during the Masters, and she goes,
Oh, no!
yeah, oh yeah, she took a picture of it and sent it to my son and the whole thing and said, "Look at your dad." And I went, "No." I did, I dozed off like about 3:30, 4 o'clock. I saw the end, I saw the beginning, but I dozed off, but she didn't let me sleep long. It was only about 15 minutes, but she sent it to everyone that he's sleeping during the Masters.
For Christmas, my daughter let me a bunch of t-shirts for everybody. Most likely to, whatever it was. Mine was most likely to take a nap.
I love naps. You know what? I gotta tell you a story. This is a true story. When I was in college, and I was getting ready to graduate, it was a senior year, and I took naps in college, always in the afternoon before hockey practice or whatever. And I told my roommate, I said, "I don't know how I'm gonna be able to ever work and have a career." "Well, why?" I said, "Well, I have to nap in the afternoon. You know, when you work, you don't get to nap in the
That's
afternoon."
right.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Come on." But I did, every day I napped. I'd turn Perry Mason on, and there, and I'd be out watching Perry Mason.
I'm not a good
19
napper.
No?
No.
No?
I wake up a little crabby. There's gotta be like a 20, there's a window.
Yeah.
20 minutes is 20 minutes to half an hour.
Yeah, you pass
Any
a
longer
certain
than that.
amount, then I'm just
That's good.
wrecked.
Well, my naps in college used to be an hour to an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
I'd wake up just in
Oh,
time.
wow.
I'd wake up just in time for dinner, you know, because the team had team meals and stuff, so I'd wake up for team meals. But then I was set for studying. I could study till like 2, 3 in the morning after I napped.
Yeah, you're good.
You know, that was, because I had the accounting, degree. It wasn't like
Sure.
all great and fun.
No. Gonna be-
Accounting, you had a lot of work, right?
Yeah, a lot
I
of
mean,
work
if you
to
had,
do.
it
You couldn't.
was like engineering. You didn't party all the time in engineering, right?
I put it work a
Not
lot.
enough time.
Reading all
Were you
that.
married when you were going to school?
At the end, I had 2 jobs and I went to school at the same time.
Wow. Yeah, I had a job when I went to school full-time. Playing hockey was a full-time job. In the morning, you got morning workouts, weight room, then you had school. Then you go to school in the afternoon, you got ice practice. And then
Yeah,
If you weren't a
come
good
back.
student, you had
Come on.
you had study table, which I didn't have study table because I had good enough grades, but
I used to drink 4 cups of Lebanese coffee for the sleep after the drink.
Wow.
Keep me up.
Lebanese coffee, that's strong. You don't wish that on anyone, Lebanese coffee. Which one is
He's
it?
gonna be bringing them back.
Yeah, good idea.
I don't smoke cigarettes.
A cigarette break.
Okay, well, we gotta give them a minute.
I need my obligation sweating fan and some gum. Does anyone want gum?
Hot shower before I
That's it, they cannot leave the table anymore.
We got punished.
There was lightning outside.
No, there was?
Lots of it. It's beautiful.
It was coming out
For
of
those
all
of you
their
who don't know,
cigarettes.
since I was so happy, I had to tell everybody else, Hasbro put a giant He-Man on top of their headquarters as a lightning rod.
Yeah, this,
It is so cool.
sit down.
That was our
Yes,
topic
ma'am.
of discussion.
Yeah.
I was very excited.
Well, where's he going?
Go ahead, start.
All
All
right,
right, okay.
we're gonna talk about water and sewer. We already talked about the rates. We're gonna do a 4% across the board. So
What
that's on
page?
page 133.
Now, I was listening to
Missed
that
it, yes.
while I was getting ready. Gliwa,
Did a 6.5
6.5, that, okay, that's what I thought I heard. I just
and a
wanted to be sure.
5.93 for water and then sewer 5.93.
And that's after a 7-year hiatus of
Yes.
not refusing to raise it before.
Correct, yes. So we're gonna keep it.
So about the water rates, one thing I do want to say, and I think the mayor was around when Dean did it, when Dean was the city manager,
Yeah.
and there was 15% increase, he just passed them right through.
Yeah,
He says, I don't care, let him come screaming in the whole bit, but
yeah.
I don't know if I could do that, I don't know if I.
They didn't have the money. That was right after the housing crash. The city couldn't buffer it.
Yeah.
But that's what was done, he told me that.
But you did make the point, we are eating a little bit of the cost.
Yes.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're eating 2.5% of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, if we go to page 134. So your water and your sewer are based on consumption. Consumption seems to be going down a little bit. I don't think people are using as much water.
I wonder why.
Yeah, the expense, or they're not watering the grass anymore, doing whatever, but consumption is going down a little bit.
Still do everything the same, I just use my neighbor's house.
That's right.
Sorry.
Good idea.
Me too, because it's my mom.
There you go.
The water and sewer does have, due a debt. So if you look at the sewer, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First 8 line items are based up for sewer debt, for DUA. That's charged to all the other communities within the DUA system. And then
Is that based on our usage or percent of ownership? How does that
That's
work?
percent of ownership, I
percent of
believe.
ownership, yeah. Ours is like 3.28 or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're
it's not like-
3.8% owners.
Yeah.
We
And
are
then-
voter members though, I vote every month, so we are voter members.
And then the debt, so the 825 and the 669, those are the new, for the new, water projects, and sewer projects that we've been talking about. Those are an estimated annual payment. Sewer operations, so right now sewer has 4, water has 4, I think, people built into them. Yeah, water and sewer has 4 built into them. We do also charge part of the administration there as well. Water, we break it as a percentage.
So there's 12 full-time DPW sewer,
Administrative, water, general fund,
and you
yeah.
have 4, 4, and 4.
Yes.
DPW's 4, water's 4, sewer's plus 4.
What we have in here, yep.
Okay.
Is that right, Jeff? There's 12 of you?
Bless you.
Jeff, is there 12 of you?
There is 10,
13 probably with the mechanic.
11 at the moment.
Oh, okay. So
Are we short one?
4, 5, 6,
I
I'm on
would
12.
like to hire another one, so it's in the budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so.
I thought 12.
Okay.
There's 2 places with 12, fire and
Yeah.
police department.
Sewer. So go down to page 136. And you look at all those long doors, the lift station, so all those big numbers to do a tunnel. So what I do is put them all in there, and then we're gonna capitalize them. That, I take it out 11 point, so that the numbers don't look like it's so odd, so I take out 11. So that again is this big project that we've all voted on and approved, the $18 million. So those are all within this fund.
Which, when do we think the bonds will get issued?
Soon, we're gonna put it out for net, like within the next council meetings. We're gonna start putting in
Okay.
next advertisement to go out for bid for bonds.
And the reason I'm on that is we've been spending money for these projects out of our savings account that I want
Uh-huh.
to get capitalized, so we have money just in case we
Pay
need
ourselves
it.
back once we get.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yep. And then the sewer consumption up at the top, that's what we pay Glewa. And then that's there, and then if you look after that 965 is the administration we charge on the sewer side. So we do the sewer, water, and that's their 5%, the 165. Keep going, you guys see anything? Page 137. You got your water consumption, 1.14. Based on consumption.
Is that Leela or is that GLWA or
Yes.
is that DUA?
That's Glewa.
I'm sorry?
That's what we pay Glewa.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
And where do we play DUA at again?
All those loans
That's it.
and the surcharges. Don't we
Yeah.
do the surcharges?
And what about the charges we pay every month for our sewer? Our sewer water, where's that at? It's like 74 a month, right? Something like that,
Let me get, those are the surcharges.
which are where? 2.6? No? I don't know. I should know this and I don't. That's why I'm asking.
The sewer consumption,
And where is that?
That's up for two top.
927,100.
Okay, that
Yes.
makes sense. That's about right.
Yeah.
So then water consumption is what we're paying.
Yep. And then 127, you got that 4.92. Oh, there's a number, for the water line constructions that are here.
Glad I closed the booth.
We are going, it looks like we're going into fund balance of about $3 million, but it's just based on all the capital projects that are so expensive. He will not come close, he always ends up coming to the good.
Jack?
Water and sewer is water and sewer. Any other
What's
questions?
the road flooding mitigation? Is that just cleaning sewer grates or?
Wasn't it like 20,000?
Yeah.
That's just clean sewer, yeah.
Question on 132.
Yep.
Other expenses are increasing like 300.
132.
Can I get an explanation like what's typically in other
Oh.
expenses and why it's increasing 300?
What page are you on?
Oh, she's back.
132. And the financial highlights.
Okay, and that's in the water, so let's look at the water and see. Consumption.
Other expenses,
Other
is
expenses, just a
691,
combination, yeah.
884, and 715,
I'm trying to see
989.
what's big.
Yeah, $24,000, that's what it's up.
Oh.
You're looking for 24, I don't know if it's
Could be
a
a
bunch of
little
line
bit of-
items at 2 or 3.
There's one, and then went up.
You can look
I
at
guess-
that.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
You can look
Easiest
at-
question, what's type of expenses is considered other?
I think it's anything, it's like this far, because salaries is this, and then the fringes and the consumption, we know is that, the other is
I'm
everything
sure it's all
else.
the-
Anything not listed.
And- Yes,
these
correct, yes, these are just anything
Salary
not
and
listed.
wages, fringes.
Yes, consumption, we know what that is, I just showed you that number, the little bit, and then the capital outlay. So it's just, it's like this many numbers, like, nothing in particular is jumping out the backflow, we're up 30,000. The meter modernization, that's up 30. Right there.
What's office and garage rent?
Oh, that was some kind of a gentleman's agreement that they pay us to rent, we must have bought it through a building authority or something. It's some odd thing, but they pay us rent.
No,
They
it's
pay
an
the
expense
general
here.
fund. It's their expense, but we get it in general fund as rent. Is it a building authority? It must have been something that happened on the
I have no idea about a building authority.
That it went on to build their building. It's common, that's common too. We're charging them rent. So we must have been a building authority at one time.
Maybe a building addition that was done to the building, and
It's not uncommon.
I don't know what that is. And we
It's
don't have a
rent.
building authority, to the best of my knowledge.
Oh, it's probably
Because we
the
don't
building
meet.
a long time ago,
Okay.
30 years ago.
Because we don't
It's some gentleman's agreement that they always rent.
We don't meet as a building authority.
And I-
That would be like a
and reason-
brownfield, would be a building authority, same kind of thing, and we
Yeah.
don't have one, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, they used to do it a long time ago. the
Even
building
it says in the budget book that the building and
Authority,
is inactive.
Yes.
So I don't know.
but that's kind of like, I don't know why we charge rent. We don't have to. Good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Jeff's busy with that, and then he's busy with major and local roads. So major streets are on page 96. So for the major streets, we get that state revenue, Act 51, we get about $1 million. And that is basically, as you can see, is just for regular maintenance, joints, sealing, street sectioning. Not a lot of, it's just for more maintenance type items, definitely not any construction of any sort.
And the transfer out goes for what?
Goes to major, to local roads.
Local roads, very
Yeah,
good.
So that just goes in and out.
I kind of learned this myself, so.
Yeah.
The mechanics of it.
Yeah, yeah. So you're allowed to put that into the local roads.
So basically, we've got $1 million to fund our
Right,
streets,
yep,
major and local.
yep. And then the local roads is page 100. We do, remember I already talked about it earlier, we do allocate some of the property taxes there. So you get property taxes, and then the Act 51 is 435. You get, we allocate $319,000 of property taxes there. That we talked about earlier, of our 20 mills. We allocate some of the roads. But again, just enough, as you can see, for street sectioning and maintenance, nothing major, right? Any questions on major local roads? Garbage, everyone wants garbage. 103. We do have a millage, so there is property taxes that go to the collection. That revenue
We
is.
can levy.
But that's what we have, can't we go up to
We
3?
can.
So let me tell you
Let's
about
talk
what's
about
brewing in
this.
the background. There's a new materials, Wayne County's coming with a new materials management plan. And it's going to affect every community, but it's going to affect us in one way. They're trying to require all cities to do curbside recycling. So, curbside recycling, a few years ago when I was still at the landfill, when we bid it out, it was about $185,000 to have containers on the street. Well, right now, we only levy 1.74 mils. That pays for us to take all our garbage to landfill, and we pay the landfill, because that's what we use the money for. If we do curbside recycling, and it's going to be more than 185 now, we would have to potentially levy more than the 1.7 mils if we're required by the county to do curbside recycling in this new Part 115.
What does that cost again?
Well, it was 100.
The curbside recycling?
It was 185
Mm-hmm.
a year to pick it up and take it away, and the carts were another 100,000.
We have a grant that would cover that, right?
Well, we did.
No,
The grant is
for
gone.
carts.
I've got Dave working on a new grant for the
Okay.
carts. And the grant for the carts were about 90, correct, Dave?
Ended up getting a grant for $274,000 to make the program work.
Yeah, but that was for an off-site
Yeah,
collection
well,
site and
a little bit
everything.
of
What were
everything.
the carts alone?
I think the cards were about 90,
Yeah.
just under 100.
So carts run about $100 a piece. We have 4,200 homes, so we need 420,000 in carts. So we'd be looking for a grant, roughly $500,000 grant for the carts. And then we'd have to do recycling. Now, in the plan, what I read, it didn't say how many times you have to have curbside. If it's every week, every other week, once a month, but it said you have to have curbside. So we would determine on pickups. The 185, if my memory is right, is every other week. We didn't do it every week, we did it every other week.
Right.
So you put out, on the even weeks or whatever, you do the curbside, which, would be the same size can, only with a green lid or whatever. So we'll have to look at that because Part 115's coming. Jennifer, our landfill engineer, sits on that committee, and she keeps us informed, and she also tries to steer the county a way of putting unfunded type mandates on communities, because that's kind of what they do. They love to do that. Oh, you have to do this. Okay, how are you gonna pay, how are you gonna help us? Well, we're not gonna help it, figure it out, so. But in an argument, they would say then charge the residents the $3 million and you might have enough. Because 445, let's just use that number times 1.24, it'd be another $500,000. And that would cover the recycling. But, so would the tax bill go up, that's not what we're trying to do, that's. Okay, Ann, keep going.
All right. Okay, so anything exciting about trash? Okay. So now we're gonna go to block grant 112. This is nothing, this is just in and out. We usually get $20,000 just for recreation services for the senior programs. And then I want to come to your attention that 493, that's what we got in, and that's what we paid for that park playscape. That was what was funded through
So-
Wayne County.
And just so you know, we have somebody, even though we don't have a full-time employee in the CDBG, we have an outside consultant that helps us with this.
Mark Gibby?
Yeah.
So he's looking all the time for things that would fit within Riverview, and he meets with Dave Skirdo, he meets with a lot with Ohio, with, and Todd with park equipment and different plans of what you could do in the city. Hence, that's where the racquetball courts came from. Mark Kibbe was able to get his money to extend the racquetball, to build the initial ones and to extend them. That was all Mark Kibbe. Mark Kibbe was also had an integral part in getting the new playground, playscape. And what he does is he sits in this group at the county and they say, well, who's got what groups and who they giving money to? And he knows Riverview. If we tell him about potential projects, he gets Riverview in there to say, well, Riverview can use that, or Riverview can use this, and he meets with the county. Historically, bigger cities have people that handle CDBG, but, we don't, so we use his service. It is budgeted for in there.
Yeah.
And it's a really pretty good darn deal, so. And he does it for us, and I think he does it for other communities as well, smaller communities.
Right.
Library?
I just had a quick question,
Sure.
sorry, about the garbage rubbish.
Yep.
The dumpster rental fees, are those, what type of dumpster rentals?
Is that, or what page are you looking at?
103, under garbage and rubbish.
Okay, let me look.
I know we went on, but
Let me just look real quick, and I'll see what I can do with that.
currently around 8,000.
Yeah, I don't know how Jeff's doing it. Oh, I know what that is. That's when that's when a resident calls for a dumpster in front of their house. And then we collect their money, and then we pay a difference to the dumpster rental company. So we make.
Our markup?
Yeah, very small. An administrative markup. But Jeff Kay would like to do this business himself.
Yeah, we get
someday.
into that business.
Get into that business of providing, and we got plenty of land to store it at the landfill.
Yeah, we talked about that. I think we ought to pursue that.
Yeah, he wants to do that too.
Yes.
So, yep. But that's what that is. Yep, you're right.
Just severe weather, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's supposed to be an inch of rain tonight, like in an hour.
Same.
Well, it's coming now.
My neighbor's yard is all cement and about a foot and a half higher than ours.
So you get it all.
Whether their salt went out,
Are you ready to
there's
Uh-oh.
our concrete, our backyard's a mess.
Okay, library,
What page?
109.
Now the best part.
Let's see, that we waited all day for that.
They've been troopers back there.
I know.
What page?
109, so we do, they do get some tax revenue of 365, and we do, they get some state aid, and then we do give them $110,000 from the general fund. We will continue to provide that to them.
Which is no different than past years.
Yeah.
That's how they've
It's all
been
the same.
funded
Yep,
since I've been around.
yep.
I didn't respond to that email, but you're doing a hell of a job over there.
Thank you. Thank you.
They ended up breaking even. They're a party of one, right? And part-time people.
Yeah, one full-time and 6 part-time.
I would say she's party of one and part-time.
No, which is different too, that they're the only department that actually has a true commission.
Yeah.
And their commission kind of oversees the library operations. I think in the end, it still has to come back here to city council, but once their budget's approved, then they work with the commission on actual expenses and the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I really don't get involved unless there becomes any kind of issue, which I have really not been involved with any issues, so it's purely, we grant them the money, they set up the budget, how they're gonna spend it, and then, one thing though, is either why don't you tell them about your fund balance, because there's a certain level you can keep, and a certain level it can't grow too big, kind of explain that to them.
Right, so because we have our own millage and we maintain our own fund balance. So every year, any money that we don't spend throughout those line items that you see goes back into our fund. I've worked with the city manager and the finance director for the since I've been director 8 years, to maintain at least a 25 to 30% fund balance, which tends to be on the higher side, but we do that so that like when we needed doors that were a problem, now we need some flooring after a flood, those sort of things that we can we're self-sustaining was our goal. So typically, I think Jeff said it's like 15 to 20% of the typical fund. We skew a little higher for that reason. And in the time that I've been here, we've only dipped into that fund for obviously capital improvements, that sort of thing. You'll notice on the capital improvements report, it was at 0, because the only time that we really need help with items, and the DPW is usually involved with that, and they've been great, is when boilers are a problem. I don't want to jinx us. Big building issues that our funds won't cover, the DPW in the city has had to help us, not since my time, but in the past. So that when you see the fund balance, it does seem high, but the reason for that is because we maintain more so we can be self-sustaining with our millage.
Very good.
Any questions with the library?
Nope.
Good job.
All right, thank you so much.
She can go, right?
Yep,
Stay
you can
dry.
go.
Yeah, you guys be
Run.
careful.
Yep, wear an umbrella, did you bring an umbrella?
Oh, no.
Mine's sitting in my front seat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don.
Super helpful.
Great spot for
Supposed
us.
to stop at 9:45.
Is it?
Are we,
Yeah.
oh, that's when we're done?
We'll be done with it.
Well, hopefully.
Example better be.
Hey, wait, we gotta get through this,
Yeah.
We don't wanna add another day to it.
No, we
That is-
You guys would be like shooting me if we had Wednesday to it.
I got plans Wednesday.
No, we're done.
Yeah, it's right here with us.
Oh, that's right.
No.
All right, we're going on to building and community development. So we're going to page 80,
What are you starting with?
80, 80 and 81.
80 is community development. Now, community development, as you all know, Dave Skirdo is employed by Carlisle Workmen, so we actually contract our
Yes.
community development and building department out to Carlisle Workmen.
Yes. So on page 80 is the contractual services for him. And we also, this year, I included the economic development coordinator.
Mhm.
So that's an additional $35,000. So that's in this. And then there's the block grant academy fee, so that's that Mark Kibbe. So we just put him in community development just because that's the area that it belongs into.
Correct.
Tech coordinator
Yeah.
will be hired when?
No, they started.
She started.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, you're gonna get to meet her. She probably started, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
She'll be at
so
the council meeting.
She'll be at the council meeting, and she'll be at the Brownfield.
Okay.
Yep, so, her name is Rhonda Miller, and she's working 2 days with us, 2 days with eCourse, and 1 day with the DCC. And she's all over the potential development project.
Oh, yeah.
And she's been working with realtors and development people, just kind of picking their brains a little bit about what kind of things they'd be looking for.
Awesome.
So, not that, I mean, it's all preliminary, it's just,
Yeah.
she's trying to get a head start, so
Yeah.
if that gets going, what kind of projections then?
I have a quick question.
Yes,
I know police take care of code enforcement now, Chief
Yes.
Allen, but supply, do they still go under, it says supplies code enforcement? Is
Oh,
that
no.
still under community development, or it does, okay.
Yeah, we're just so intertwined, it's still in our office.
Okay.
So we're so intertwined.
They're just he just
It was
looks
just
over.
easier us to get the paper, the pens and things like that.
Yep, nope, just thought I'd ask.
Okay. And then building engineer. That's just where all the inspection fees and building fees and plumbing inspectors, is all the inspectors are.
and our engineers in there too, a little bit of our engineers
Yeah.
in there as well.
Yep.
When he reviews plans or what have you.
And then last year, we raised all the building department fees. We left them
Mhm.
consistent this year. We didn't do anything with them, so. She added some new line items, but we didn't raise rates at all. It's just all these fees. No, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
72, going back to public works. Now, these are what's in general fund from the water and sewer. They kind of intertwine with it. So we're gonna go to page 72. So this is all our general maintenance. These are the guys. And really it's just, now we just put a lot of general stuff in here, like janitor, telephone, gas, electric, water, so it's just our basic public works within the general fund. Water, the big thing is street lighting, 507.
So did you ever look and see if that's on the tax bills?
No,
Any
it's not.
assessment for that?
No,
For street lighting?
no.
I'm gonna bring you my tax bill.
Right. Is it on the water bill or tax bill?
It's on my tax bill.
Street lighting's on your tax bill. Yeah, bring it in. No, we don't charge nothing.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Dave, have you seen that other places where street lighting's on the tax bill? You have?
Something hit or miss.
Yeah, but that's
They must do a
done in
millage
different
report.
areas, right?
Yeah.
It has to be a millage or something.
Wow.
I can see maybe on your, yeah, I don't know. So, okay, then we do Public Works, building maintenance is just our same thing. Pest control, janitor, a lot of it is just people. And then it's just gas, electric, water. Of the buildings. These are now general fund stuff. And then motor vehicle is just a maintenance guy,
One mechanic.
one mechanic, paid 76. So just fuel maintenance, and then we just, they bill out. So if there's stuff internal, they bill it out to the other funds, whoever.
So repair and fuel costs get
Yep,
cross-charged.
yep.
Does recreation pay any of that, you know?
Yep. If they, well, they don't have any cars.
That
Oh,
and
yeah,
food
they
trucks.
do, they do, I'm sure they do.
Okay.
Portion of it,
I know that landfill, if we have our own mechanic now, so there's,
yeah, very
because
little.
we buy our own, they buy our own fuel there because they get a good deal.
Uh-huh.
Like the landfill and the diesel, and they have our own mechanic, so we shouldn't get cross-charged back to the landfill.
And then parks is just the maintenance, just the grass cutter, contractual grass cutter.
Who was supposed to start today, but had a broken down tow vehicle, so they didn't start. And now that we're getting an inch of rain,
They
they're
won't
gonna
start till
have.
next week, till it dries out.
No, they're gonna start as quick as it dries out enough that, see, that's the thing. Just to let you know, I looked at potentially doing grass cutting internally with our own employees, our own equipment, our own trucks, so we could get it done. And it's much more than $65,000.
Oh, yeah, I think
I
that's
mean,
been proven.
Yeah, and I would love to do it, you know, so that we can be done, it can be tight, you know, all the time. But what happens is, and I thank the DPW for helping out last time and the golf course guys, when we had the Memorial Day and we were behind and next thing I know, I called Jeff and his guys came over with mowers. I called Scott, his guys came over with mowers and they cleaned it all up in 4 hours and it looked better than it ever looked. Now, can't do that every week, but for
Special
definitely
event.
for special events, I want that park to look tight,
Yeah.
you know, because, you know, like motorcycle ride, when they come through on the motorcycle ride, summer festival, and just so you guys know, we're gonna spray around the concert in the park. We started spraying around the walking path, and we got that in there. We're gonna start spraying City Hall, because we got the old spray rig fixed, because that was the winter project. So we're gonna start spraying a little bit more, because the chemicals are very cheap when you spread them out over 300 gallons. So we can do 300 gallons at a time. So we'll start kind of, our showcase park, I'd love to do every park, I'd love to do every boulevard, I'd love to do everything. But you can't afford to do all that. But our showcase park needs to be showcased, so. Not gonna be able to do the back field, but anywhere around our library and around our concert and our pavilion and our lake and our city hall, we gotta do that, so.
It used to be high school kids that did the mowing, right? Once
Yeah.
upon a day?
Yeah, because obviously the feedback we get, but it's been difficult to get consistency when high school kids do it.
Well, with
Maybe
minimum
when
wage
Rotary-
going up, I guess.
When Rotary Interact starts, maybe that can be one of their.
No, I don't think so.
Well, again,
Good
I mean,
idea, though.
if you saw my lawn, and, you know, I like it tight, and I prided myself where I came from, that, you know, the park had to be, our showcase park had to be, you know, and I'm trying to do that here, and, you know, we got our golf course moving in that direction, and I'd love our park to be in that way also. Because it's our flagship. I mean,
Yeah.
people come to the city, they recognize Young Patriots Park.
And speaking of spraying, do we spray for like mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, anything like that?
We don't.
I've had a couple people ask
We
me
don't.
at Patriots and golf course if those were sprayed at all.
Well, golf course sprays for grubs and chinch bugs and cutworms, and so they put a pesticide down that would take care of a lot of different bugs. We don't spray a pesticide at the park, we spray a herbicide, which is, of course, broadleaf and weeds control, but we don't.
Okay.
You know, we could at the pond where I came from, we used to put mosquito dunks in the pond. They're like little bricks and pellets, you throw them in there. I just don't know, you know, some people, I'm allergic to that, and I'm, you know, so
Right.
it's hard to, if
That's
it's
why
in
they
somebody's
like
own
grass.
yard or whatever.
Yeah.
then it's easier to do that. But when it's at the public place where everybody goes, then you get the complaints.
Mosquito dunks are harmless.
Huh?
I used to put them in my water barrel.
I know.
Like, you know,
Yeah, I
rainwater.
know, but people,
And water my vegetables with them.
I know, but people used to, I could tell you, the craziest lawsuit I ever was involved with was a child got bit by a mosquito that lived next to the golf course, and we were getting sued because the mosquito from our golf course came over and bit their child in their backyard.
What, they didn't keep it on a leash?
Was the child
The child.
traumatized?
The child.
I mean, think about that. I mean, that's what some people you have to deal with. So,
Wow.
Okay.
I'm good. If you're good, I have no question.
about the supplements that Ann graciously tried to put together with the supplemental information and what we sent out, I put some of it together. Is there any questions with any of that right now with the dollar bill? And, you know, when we looked at that, hey, look, our public safety doesn't even cover our property taxes right now, and then this additional document that Ann put together with the graphs, if there's any questions with that tonight, that I would say give them to us so that potentially we can get answers to them. But I thought it was pretty straightforward. I did, Council Member Clark asked me, with the Go Big Media, asked me for a breakdown, so I gave it to her. I can't tell you what every single page went for unless auditing every piece of paper that went out, but I can tell you that all the big bills during Go Big Media time and those columns was from the expansion time, because we were buying 2 and 3 pages a month for the expansion.
A lot of educating too.
Yeah, so that's the big ones. And now it stopped because the school has their own contract. We no longer have a contract with them, and I'm trying to keep it under 2 pages. This month is a page and a half, but our page and a half is the same as our 2.5 pages under contract.
Right, so at some point, the page and a half, we're gonna be exceeding what we would have paid for it.
I'm trying to not post everything. I'm just posting what I have to post. And the things I have to post is like the minutes and the agenda stuff and the stuff I'm required by law to post, and then any kind, you know, Summer Festival is gonna have to pay through their sponsorships, pay for their page. So that's, we're not gonna have to pay for the page, that's gonna get charged to Summerfest. But
at some point, you know, at some point, our attendance in some of these programs may be affected.
we'll see, yeah.
But I mean, Summerfest, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
It's covered by the sponsorships.
I'm gonna have to look for a sponsor to go to the different cities as well for Summerfest. We always buy a page in.
You saw the response from Corwell Health,
No, I
Garrett
didn't.
Health.
I didn't see that.
I solicited them because we're short for sponsorship.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't say they're gonna sponsor yet, but one of the first questions was they want to know how many people attend.
30,000 people.
That was one of the first questions that
Yeah.
they asked.
So we have, you know, we want to put it in Trenton Tribune, we want to put it in the Southgate Star, we want to put it in the Wyandotte Warrior, our surrounding communities to get them there. Because it only does us, it only helps us because people come from the other communities, they buy tickets for the carnival, we get a cut of. They might, you know, buy things from the vendors that we get a cut of, so it's good to get more people there from the different surrounding communities.
How many more donors do we need for Summerfest?
Well, last year, we had $50,000 from just sponsors. And I believe I've got confirmed this year 10, 20, 35 right now. So we probably could use another $10,000 of sponsors, but I'm still waiting on one. And the thing is we gotta get them done because they get advantage of, when they commit, they get an advantage of getting on all
the advertising.
All the advertising, you know, in the papers and wherever else we advertise, websites, so. I think Todd's gonna hit up Rivergate yet. Yeah, I don't think he has, but I think we're.
Yeah, he did. He talked to Julia.
Okay.
So, I haven't been to work since the end of January.
Yeah, so I'm hopeful that they'll jump in, that'll help. But remember, Summerfest is 100% sponsor, that's no tax dollars to put on Summerfest.
Yeah.
That's our goal. Same way with Concerts in the Park, we make that happen. Which Ann tells me I'm nuts that I go out and raise all this money because everywhere she's been or anywhere, they always say.
You are nuts.
puts
They
money
get
into
some,
it,
but not
but.
Bama.
Nothing to do with that.
Well, I heard we needed more sponsorship. I just didn't know how much, but
Okay.
now that I
All right,
know.
it's
Yep.
getting very late.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we done?
Yeah, if there's no questions with the supplemental and,
Okay, about public comment, Mr. Conlon?
Yes, I have a comment to make, Mr. Ryan.
Yes, sir.
okay.
And that presupposes that the draft budget is still not available on the website, because I haven't been able to find it.
Really?
Has it been posted?
Craig, yeah,
To the best of my knowledge, Craig posted it
When?
last week when you asked.
like right away, it was
I
noted.
sent an email out, and then he sent an email out, so might be a separate, it might not be where they're normally, where it's at,
Would it,
but it's on there because
Okay,
Craig said he put it on
I'll
there.
sit back down then. I can't find it. I was in DC over the weekend, wanted to look at it, couldn't find it. I was back here looking for it. I can't find it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can reach out to
Okay.
Yeah.
Shane tomorrow, Ann tomorrow,
Well,
and no, talk
thank you
with.
very much. No,
yeah.
I want PDF. I don't need some paper. No, that's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll put that down.
All right.
All right.
And,
I think that's it.
We're good.
Did, yeah, I think I sent even a note to all
I thought
councils
you
that
did.
when he sent it out, I
You
said
did.
it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I didn't look to see.
I know he put it at a special tab, but he said the tab's easy to